The following video contains spoilers about WandaVision.
Hey guys, this is the Quiet Hour with Hana 6. Actually, not really. I'm just filming kind of late and I can't be my usual energetic, angry self. I actually decided to work on some pillowcases while I record, but apparently the sound is too much, so at best y'all might get to see me work, but y'all won't be able to hear me talk and work. I know. I mean, if you're watching a video about sewing, then sure. There's really nothing special with pillowcases. This isn't an instruction video. This is I am here to talk about things. Mainly, my review of WandaVision. So, while I'll admit, the show started off super slow to me. Like, really, really, really slow. To the point where I actually thought about just abandoning the show for the first episode. And then I watched the second episode and I'm like, I'm still feeling this way. But considering that it was only a short season, I'm like, you know what? I'll just make it through it and work through it. But what's interesting about my thoughts on WandaVision is that I am by no means an expert in MCU type stuff. Like, I know the players, I know the backstory, I know a lot of top level knowledge. But as far as deep diving into the motivation and psyche and all those stuff, I really don't do that because I honestly just have entirely too many hobbies that take up a lot of time, and I just don't think that I can add another. I'm hitting that limit, which is kind of not really breaking up with your fandoms, but more or less going on a break. You know. Yeah, we're on a break. No, I'm semi kidding. The thing is, it's like with WandaVision, I knew that it was going to be a very different type of show based on the trailers that we all saw last year. Was that last year? I don't know. My time is melding together for me. What was interesting is seeing from the first episode where it started off in the 50s and then the 60s and the 70s and so on. So, matter of fact, I think one of the 80s or 90s sets was the same from, what was that one show where Step by Step, that's what it was. I'm only familiar with remembering how it looks because I actually started rewatching the show because I wanted to see if that show had the similar charm as it did for me when I was younger and watching it on Friday Night Live. No, I think it was TGIF on ABC. Oh, yeah, I'm dating myself a little bit. Let's just ignore it. Let's just ignore that. It's not important. What is important is that the costumes are on point. You know, that's my entire focal, really. Costuming's on point. The story's on point. And quite frankly, of all the things that could have happened with Scarlet Witch having a mental break and kidnapping her USB of a husband, I would say that was probably best case scenario when it came to WandaVision. She enslaved an entire town all to live out this random fantasy, and it makes you wonder, how strong is Scarlet Witch? Seriously, think about it. She took a area of about 5-10 square miles maybe, and was literally able to puppet tier the entire thing from the adults to the children, and then it's like, oh wait, she has her own kids. So it's like it's interesting seeing all of that play out, and then of course the twist at the sort of the last few episodes where it was Agatha all along. I I'm gonna be on the fence about the whole Agatha thing because I was not aware that witches were a thing in the MCU. I will admit that. But what's interesting about the character Agatha, not Agnes. I'm switching my movies here or shows. The weird thing about Agatha is that in the comics, Agatha had a son, Nicholas Scratch. Guess who else's name is Nicholas Scratch? The one dude from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Like, how cool would it be to have like a crossover within a crossover within a crossover? It's like let's just have all fandoms just converge into one. That would be ideal. But of course, contracts and IP things and that nature just won't allow certain things to happen. But I'm gonna still, hold out for my Super Hulock. And if you don't know about that, that's Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock. Not the Iron Man Sherlock, but the Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, no, that's not how you say his name, but I promise it's like every time I want to say his name, I think of every other person that I've interacted with just destroying his name to a point where he just has like a brand new name. But the best part about that guy is that, everybody knows that it's him and him alone. Not, oh, it's John Smith, the actor from this movie. Not that movie. Like when you get his name, you know who it is. Which reminds me, I really need to go and watch Zoolander 2. Okay, off topic. Back on topic. WandaVision. So, the weird thing about Agatha is where are they going to go with this particular character? Who else is going to be introduced into the MCU at this point? Because after the first 2, 3, 5 films, that chapter of the Avengers is over. So now you have a new chapter of the Avengers with pulling in like Winter Soldier, Falcon. Now you have Scarlet Witch, and then you have Doctor Strange, and all these other characters who are now going to. Oh, and Captain Marvel. Let's not forget Captain Marvel. And the cool thing though is that it's like we get to see how now WandaVision is going to fit in the grand scheme of things. Because the one thing that Marvel does correctly is that they actually go through and connect all of the dots, which is great. Even if they explain it like, quantum time travel. Yeah, whatever. I'm guessing, somebody did some research and like, this just sounds great. I take a small issues with that, but it doesn't matter because we're not talking about that. We're talking about WandaVision. So the one thing that I'm really curious about, though, in the entire scheme of things, and I'm going to have to probably go back and rewatch, is how did Vision become self-aware? Like, really self-aware. And, I mean, I get that, he essentially, as a walking USB, he has his own level of intelligence. So it's like, well, she just resurrected him, or a version of him. And he has his own free will. But what's interesting about it is that even with his own free will, she's still controlling every single aspect of his life, which is interesting. And I do appreciate the fact that it wasn't like they said goodbye on a sour note. It was like a see you later, and of course, emotions and feelings and things come out of you while you're watching this nonsense. But I'm not salty about that. I just wasn't expecting that sneak attack of emotions. I did not get permission for that feel strip. I am looking at you, whoever created WandaVision. So, yeah, I know the guy's name, but I'm not gonna embarrass myself trying to pronounce his last name. But let's say our good boy Kevin. He was the one that created, is responsible for all of this stuff, and I'm just I appreciate it, but then I'm also like, I gotta play with my emotions on this. But I really wish that they would have gone maybe another 2 or 3 episodes further than what they've gone, or at least add in 2 more between the, I guess, 1970s Wanda and 90s. I feel like those could have used a couple more episodes, because then at that point you're showing your cards and you're putting them on the table, and before you know it, everything is just like spread out. But I do like the fact that we have a badass Monica, and let's not forget Darcy. Yeah, I know, but I really do hope that there is a follow-up for that particular storyline, because I would really, 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 really love to see things go a little bit further. And let's be honest, that costume reveal at the end, spectacular. Like, really, really, really awesome. But we'll see how all these things play out. Hopefully for the best, and I hope my sound's okay.